page. On the front page this morning, of course, looking at the NNN Bluedot poll number one, looking at the direction of the country and the findings there.
The nationwide Bluedot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
Now, there's been a marginal increase in the number of Jamaicans who believe the country is headed in the right direction. That's according to the latest nationwide Bluedot polls powered by Total Tools. 36% of Jamaicans say the country is headed in the right direction. That's up 4 percentage points from the 32% who held a similar view in February this year. But despite the increase, it's still fewer than or less than the 39% of Jamaicans who say the country is on the wrong track. George Davis has more in this report.
As the political clock continues ticking towards this year's general election, signs are emerging. Jamaicans are feeling marginally more optimistic about the direction of the country. The Bluedot pollsters asked 1,618 registered voters whether they thought the country was headed in the wrong direction or right direction. 36% of them said right, 39% said wrong, 25% unsure. That 36% who held a positive sentiment is the highest recorded in these polls since 2021, when the positive sentiment stood at 34%. Notably, the increased positive sentiment comes amid a 40% reduction in murders and a 50% reduction in poverty. The pollsters reason that those national developments may be influencing public perception. But before the Labourites break out the confetti and start sipping the green Kool-Aid, the negative sentiment in the population still outstrips those who feel positive about the direction of the country. This means a larger plurality of the population still believes the country is on the wrong track. But the Holness administration may take some comfort in the fact that the negative 39% plurality is down marginally from the 42% who said Jamaica was on the wrong track 3 months ago. It should also be noted that 39% is the second lowest negative sentiment recorded in these polls since 2021. At that time, 26% believed that Jamaica was on the wrong track. It's also 8 points fewer than the high of 47% recorded in negative sentiment in 2023. The political affiliation of the respondents appears to be driving some of the sentiment. There's been a 12 percentage point increase in the number of Labourites who believe the country is headed in the right direction, moving from 62% in February to 74% in the May polls. Comrades are also expressing optimism, albeit marginally, moving from 9% in February to 12% in May. There's been no change in the positive perception of unaffiliated voters. Across all affiliations, the negative sentiment has fallen. The number of Labourites who say Jamaica is on the wrong track has declined from 18% in February to 10% in May. And while comrades continue to express extreme pessimism, that number has also fallen, moving from 73% earlier this year to 71% in this edition of the polls. Unaffiliated voters have seen a 4 percentage point fall in negative sentiment, declining from 44% 3 months ago to now standing at 40%. The nationwide Bluedot polls, powered by Total Tools, was conducted between May 2 and 17. It has a margin of error of plus or minus 2.3%. George Davis for Nationwide News.
The nationwide Bluedot polls, powered by Total Tools. Total Tools, they almost always have it.
For Perspectives Now, we're being joined by veteran journalist and former Deputy House Speaker Lloyd B. Smith, a political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence, and political commentator Jermaine Barrett. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Tony. Good morning to your listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide this morning. Let's begin with you, Dr. Spence. What do you make of the numbers Bluedot indicating based on the data that the 36% now is the most positive outlook in terms of the right direction figure since 2021? And on the wrong direction side, this 39% is the lowest figure as well since 2021 when Bluedot began polling this question.
I think clearly, as we near an election and as the government rolls out its achievements and it's gathering its message, it's putting its message together, and there's more out there both on social media and in mainstream media about what is happening. We're seeing that people's minds are being changed, albeit slowly. I think perhaps the most dramatic story that has rolled out since at least since this year, having to do with the 50% drop in poverty. I don't know if that was in people's minds when the poll was being conducted, but I think certainly, there's been a lot that has been happening of late. That the government clearly is putting together its election message and is going out there and is engaging the public, meeting with its workers. And so I think we're seeing the impact of that. And on the other hand, the opposition's message is becoming a little bit more unsure and unclear. And its presence out there, especially how it is being interpreted in its messaging on social media, is not as clear. It is impacting voters and impacting how they are perceiving who should be the next government, I think.
Jermaine, is this a view you share, that the messaging from the PNP might not be resonating, this misery messaging might not be resonating with the public based on what the poll findings have indicated?
That is absolutely the view that I have, and I've been saying for some time now that communications about misery and just the pain that people across the island are feeling is not sustainable to take you over the edge for the elections. We're seeing the JLP now demonstrating and organizing and a resurgence in terms of the communication of its message to the people at large. And I think while these are marginal increases, the macroscopic numbers are marginal, it does indicate that things are trending significantly in the right direction for the JLP. I think as well that the poverty numbers, the significant reduction in crime across the island, those factors are factors that I think would be also driving these numbers, and of course, things like unemployment and, other factors are also contributing significantly. I think this really is a significant indication to the People's National Party that they need to do more to advocate, to promulgate to the Jamaican people what it is that they would do were they to gain a state power. Simply be negative, simply nitpicking and pinpointing what they consider to be errors in the administration's approach in governance won't do it at all, not when faced with these significant trends that we've been experiencing over the last several weeks.
Lloyd B. Smith, after the break, we get your initial perspective on what you believe the data is reflecting. Going to take a break and come back with more. This morning on our first question from the Bluedot polls, the NNN Bluedot polls powered by Total Tools. This morning, the question, how Jamaicans feel about the direction of the country. Just in case you missed it, the important data, right direction, I'll bring them to you. 2021, it was at 34%. In 2022, it was at 21%. February 2023, 21%. September 2023, 28%. February 2024, 28%. September 2024, 27%. February 2025, 32%. And in the latest edition of the poll, that right direction figure is at 36%, the highest it has been since 2021. On the wrong direction side, in 2021, it was at 26%. 2022, 41%. February 2023, 47%. September 2023, 41%. February 2024, 44%. September 2024, 44%. February 2025, 42% in the latest edition. This nationwide Bluedot polls, it is at 39%. So that's from May 2025 at 39%. And this is the lowest it has been as well since 2021 on the wrong direction side. What do you make of the data, Lloyd B. Smith?
Well, clearly it shows that the proof of the pudding is in fact in the eating, and the many achievements of the Jamaica Labour Party that have been literally pushed down the throats of the electorate over these past months has really helped the party to get a reasonable portion of the electorate to go along with its overall positioning in terms of seeking a third term. But I think we all have to be very careful with this type of data because the fact is that at the macro level, you will find this kind of positive vibes for the JLP, which is understandable. The murder rate is down and a number of other positive factors, the infrastructural work, unemployment, poverty, and so on. Although in real terms, when you drill down to the micro level, there is still a great deal of discontentment and indeed problems facing persons getting on with their lives on a day-to-day basis socioeconomically. I think where the PMP has to be very concerned, though, is the fact that we see where the 45 and upwards, as well as the over 60 and upwards, are in fact thinking that the country is moving in the right direction. And this could spell a problem for the PMP because it tends to attract those cohorts of votes in an election campaign. On the other hand, for the JLP, we see where the younger persons may be trending otherwise, which again could spell trouble for the JLP. The fact, though, is that it is more difficult to get the younger voters to the polls as against the older voters who tend to be more committed to going to the polls. So it's a mixed bag overall, but surely the JLP can take some amount of pride in what is evolving. Of course, all of this comes against the backdrop of what we have been observing in several constituencies where the JLP is having problems selecting its candidates, and there is a growing discontentment among laborites in some of these areas. And when it comes down to what I call the retail politics, because what we are discussing here is wholesale politics. Yes, this may reflect a popular vote trend, but when it comes down to the constituency by constituency battle, the JLP could find itself in some amount of trouble if it doesn't sort out that level of its organization.
The devil is always in the details, and I don't know why they say the devil. It could have been a positive figure, but anyway, not my quote. And Lloyd B, your point about the demographics, we're going to answer that we're going to clarify that point hopefully later at 5 o'clock when the big poll for the day concerns the demographic share of the voter of the voters and which party is prominent in which key demographic, or well, we measured all of the major demographics, the voting demographics, and we have those poll numbers coming. But more to the point of drilling down, Lloyd B, you said something and immediately my eye went to this part. The parish breakdown of the right direction, wrong direction question. It has something very interesting here, Lloyd B. It shows that in St. Mary, while the number of people who believe, well, it shows that the number of people who believe that the country is going in the right direction, that plunged by 11% between February's poll this year and May's poll this year. So the number of St. Mary people who believe the country is going in the right direction, that dropped by 11%. And the number of people in St. Mary who believe the country is going in the wrong direction ballooned by 21%. So in February 2025, 30% of St. Mary people felt the country was going in the wrong direction. 30%. And at that time, that 30% of wrong direction for St. Mary was the lowest wrong direction sentiment in the whole country. But now, 2 months later, in May 2025, the same St. Mary people, Bluedot is telling us, 51% now believe the country is going in the wrong direction. That's plus 21% in terms of wrong direction numbers. And, as I said, where St. Mary is concerned, right direction, 39% believed it was going in the right direction in February 2025. And 2 months later, 28% believe it's going in the right direction. So that has fallen 11 percentage points. But for Hanover, in February, Hanoverians, 48% of them said wrong direction. Now, 35% say so. So that has fallen by 13%, the number of people who say wrong direction. And for Hanover, right direction, 26% said right direction in February. That has jumped to 40% in May. So those two parishes, Lloydie, I don't know if with your experience, what can you read and tell us that those numbers are saying about St. Mary and Hanover?
Well, it's a fluid situation, and as we all know, all politics in the very final analysis is local. And it would be interesting to disaggregate those figures further to see the extent to which Labour hold the view that the country is going in the right direction, or on the opposite side going in the wrong direction, as with the comrades as well. But I suspect that, the poll is a snapshot in time, and when you look at some of these constituencies, the volatility can be explained within the context of what is happening in terms of the political representation of the members of parliament and councillors.
And also that St. Mary and Hanover would be two of those parishes where the PNP would have taken back charge of local government coming out of the last local government polls in February last year. Certainly St. Mary has a new mayor, and Hanover is with the PNP again. So that may also be a reflection of, well, that fact may also inform the numbers that the pollsters found when they were in the field.
Yes.
Dr. Spence, on the question of wrong direction, right direction, is that an answer that somebody gives based on what their party of choice has been telling them, or is their sentiment independent of that and more about what they feel at the time the question is asked?
I think it's what they feel at the time the question is asked. What is happening in local politics? Take that St. Mary Hanover. One of the things we've been seeing, at least on social media, and if you're paying attention to the bloggers and vloggers and so on, is that Hanover has become very active in its underground campaigning, and that one popular PNP supporter switched to the JLP. And a lot of information sharing is happening in Hanover from the government side or from supporters of the JLP, not necessarily that the JLP as an organ is down there working more.
And you're talking about Craig Oates, of course, in case people are wondering, yes.
Exactly, and we've been hearing that Robert Montague is losing ground in St. Mary, that he's not as popular, perhaps not as active on the ground in St. Mary. So you're wondering, I'm just hearing that difference in terms of how the parishes are breaking out. You're thinking about that, what Lloyd B. said, that all politics is local. Mm-hmm. That in the final analysis it would appear that what is happening on the ground, as should be expected, is impacting people's sentiments as to whether or not they think the country is going in the right or wrong direction. The only thing about that is people are so fickle. Like the change between one poll and the other is so drastic.
Yeah.
That one wonders if it were done in September again, what would people say if it is that either party became more active on the ground in either parish?
Yeah. So, and Jermaine, thank you, Dr. Spence. Jermaine, the thing is this: the margin of error, remind both of you, well, all the three of you, it's 2.3%, and the numbers I gave for St. Mary and Hanover, they swallow up that margin of error. So there's no doubt about what those numbers are telling us. But elsewhere in the parish by parish consideration, it's tight, perhaps except for St. Catherine, where the number of people who say right direction has gone up by 10 points, and the number of people who say wrong direction has declined by 7 points. So it's tight elsewhere, except for Hanover and St. Mary, which were, if it were not for the two of them, I'd say anomalies, but two of them, I'm wondering now what really is accounting for that swing away from the administration and right direction on in the case of St. Mary, and to the administration in the case of Hanover, Jermaine.
George, I think there is definitely a disparity and a dissonance between the big numbers that are trending in the right direction, crime, unemployment, and so forth, and how people are experiencing these factors in their daily lives. And, it is the case that it's not being reflected at a concomitant level. And so I think Dr.
Spence.
Dr. Spence's analysis is spot on. The kind of political organizing and optics operating in either of the two parishes, Hanover and St. Mary, are distinctly different. I mean, the JLP knows that the West is going to be very, very important in order for it to retain the state power. I think there is a bit of a seemingly a complacency that, St. Mary, the chairman of the JLP, having a seat there and being able to organize and mobilize, that they have not been as strident in sort of communicating a message and responding to the needs of the people. Yeah? But you're seeing a little bit of that now. You would have heard fairly recently a massive water project there, somewhere, there. You would have heard in this, I think it's Discovery Bay or... No, not Discovery Bay. One of those townships where the sea is continually eroding the land.
It was Another Bay you're talking about in St. Mary, yeah.
Another Bay. Sea eroding the land. And
$240 million, yeah.
Precisely. So those things, are representative of the administration recognizing that, St. Mary people need some help as well. The question, though, is it enough? Is it responding to the issues that are of concern to St. Mary? Those issues are bad roads, it remains water, it remains levels of unemployment or underemployment that is concerning to people. And that's why the numbers, I think, and then of course the political organizing, Bobby Montague seems not to be getting it right just right now. So all of those issues have to be resolved to get the numbers trending better for St. Mary. And of course, I think you're going to see a push in that direction going forward.
Yeah. I think our time is up. Yeah, that's it. Thank you this morning, Dr. Spence. Very appreciated. Lloyd B. all the time. And Jermaine Barrett, really appreciate your contribution, man.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All the best.
Out of time we are.
Thank you, Andres.
Break time. Back with more after these. Give you a little bit more of the numbers from this first poll question that we're dealing with. Remember, we're presenting the poll findings to you, culminating in the party standings. We're also going to be giving you data on, well, not giving you data, we're giving you the findings of what the survey found where the party leaders are concerned. And we'll be doing 3 constituencies for you: Southeast St. Elizabeth, Southwest St. Elizabeth, and we'll be doing Western St. Mary. It look like I got to for the Western St. Mary, because I see it, St. Mary, at least on this score, St. Mary looks very, very good for the opposition and not look so good for the governing party. Where the PNP and JLP split is concerned in this right direction, wrong direction question, Tana, the pollsters say to us that, look, the question is obviously going to have a party affiliation bias. Yeah, if you're a member of the JLP, you're more likely to say, boy, your party are going good. If you're a member of the opposition, you're more likely to say, not now go on. What does the result? What does the findings say, Tona, about PNP supporters over time and their feeling about right direction of the country?
All right. So, of course, again, Bluedot began polling this question in 2021. So PNP supporters at that time, 2021, 13% of them, you said right direction, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, sorry.
13% of them said the country was heading in the right direction. Of course, that dropped to 6% in 2022. In September 2023, it was at 10%. That held in February 2024, still 10%. Dropped marginally to 9% in September 2024. By February this year, February 2025, it was still at 9%. And then for this poll, it has moved to 12%. So up 3 percentage points, PNP supporters who were polled on the right direction, wrong direction question.
And in 7 Blue Dot polls between 2021 and May 2025, the highest finding for PNP supporters in terms of right direction is what?
It's 13. So this number now at 12% is the second highest over the history of the polling question.
Among PNP supporters.
Among PNP
about
supporters.
right direction.
Right.
All right. What does it say about the JLP supporters from 2021 forward to now?
So JLP supporters in 2021, it was at 70%, dropped significantly in 2022 to 46%. In September 2023, it was at 58%. February 2024 at 60%. September 2024 at 57%. February 2025, 62%. And this poll, it's now at 74%. So a 12 percentage point increase and the highest over the history of this polling question as well.
Which suggests that the Labourites are feeling much better about their party. And to follow what you just said, this is the best they're feeling about their party since 2021 in terms of the direction that their party is taking the country in.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. What about the unaffiliated now?
And the sentiments are similar among the unaffiliated as well, because in 2021, it was at 16%. In 2022, 9%. September 2023, 17%. February 2024, 13%. September 2024, 18%. February 2025, 21%. Now in May 2025, 21%. So this still remains, between February and now, still the highest among the unaffiliated members of the Jamaican public.
But still a tough nut to crack, that group.
Yes.
Yes.
So they haven't shifted, they haven't fallen off, but they haven't moved up either. So still at 21%.
Tell me about the wrong direction now, PNP supporters from 2021 forward to May 2025.
So on the wrong direction side, in 2021, 55%. That moved to 65% in 2022. September 2023, 65%. February 2024, 69%. September 2024, 68%. February 2025, 73%. And May 2025, 71%.
So just a little bit of a fall off in the number of comrades who believe the country is headed in the wrong direction.
Right.
What about JLP supporters now who believe that their party is steering the country in the wrong direction?
So 2021, it was at 9%. That jumped to 19% in 2022. In September 2023, 18%. February 2024, 16%. September 2024, 20%. February 2025, 18%. And in this edition of the poll, May 2025, at 10%.
So this is where does this rank, this 10% rank in terms of the number of JLP supporters who believe the country is headed in the wrong direction since 2021?
It's the second lowest of the figures. The lowest was 2021, the first time the question was polled by Bluedot at 9%. And now this polling, May 2025, at 10%.
And just to note that 2022 was a particularly bad year for the JLP supporters in terms of how they felt their party was moving the country, because in 2022, 46% of them felt Holness and his team were taking the country in the wrong direction, in the right direction rather. Only 46% felt the country was going in the right direction in 2022, and 19% said wrong direction. But the picture has changed totally, because now more Labourites than ever before in the history of this Bluedot poll, the sequence of the polls, more Labourites than ever before are saying the country is going in the right direction. That's up 12 percentage points between February 2025 and May 2025. But the PNP support almost tagged to the margin of error, 2.3%. 3% more of them believe right direction, and 2% less believe wrong direction. So those are the findings rather on the right direction, wrong direction question. And as we told you, the St. Mary and Westmoreland are the places where, the concern is significant in terms of moving the country. Here's the thing, Tona. the right direction, is there a breakdown for men and women?
There is a breakdown for men and women. Just pulling that up. So for females, so we have a February and May comparison for females and males. So on the right direction side, for February 2025, it was at 30% of females who say the country was heading in the right direction. That has gone up by 4 percentage points to 34% in this edition of the poll. So May 2025, it's now at 34%. And on the male side, for the right direction, it was at 34% in February. That has equally gone up by 4 percentage points. It's now at 38% of males in Jamaica, parts of the voting population, who say the country is headed in the right direction. On the wrong direction side, for females in February 2025, it was at 42%. That has dropped to 39% in this edition of the poll. So February it was at 42%, May 2025 at 39%. And similarly, on the male side as well, same statistics. February 2025 for the males, it was at 42%. That has also dropped to 39%.
Very well. All right. That's it for now. We'll have much more at midday where the polls are concerned, and then we'll have a nice story for you at 5 o'clock.